Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of You Ask, I Answer. My name is Ted, and today we are going to be talking about why you actually make enough money and you don't actually have an earnings problem, you have a spending problem. So with that, let's dive right into this. So recently I've been getting a lot of questions from people about, Ted, do you have any ideas for side hustles? How can I be making more money? While some people, yes, do make too little money, most people who ask me that question make plenty of money. Truthfully, I have experienced this in my own life. Right after I graduated college, I moved to Florida and got a big boy corporate job. Went into sales training, and during the training program, they say, hey, during this year, you should make a certain amount of money, and we're gonna pay you like you make that amount of money, even though once you're out of training, you're gonna have like a base plus commission type pay. So they paid me the full amount of money that I should have gotten paid for the year, divided up per month and per paycheck, blah, 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 stuff like that. And I ended up spending every single dime of it every single pay period. If I saved any, it was probably like 50 bucks. I mean, it was next to nothing relative to the whole amount of paycheck. I have no idea what I spent my money on, and to this day, I have no idea what I spent my money on. It was a serious problem, and I had to get control of it. So what I ended up doing is I just said, you know what? I need to create a system that works for me, that makes this super easy. I started out trying to do budgeting every month, as all Dave Ramsey and any personal finance guru followers will attest to. They all say, go make a budget that's allocates a certain amount of money to these 13 different categories or whatever it is. For me, that was really difficult. I was unable to stick to it most pay periods, most months, most weeks. It was really challenging, took a lot of time, and I just did not want to do it. So I created my own system, and turns out a lot of people actually do this. A lot of successful personal finance experts do this. I just want to share that system with you today. So I've divided it into 4 different steps. Step 1 is you need to create 3 different bank accounts. Step 2 is you need to set up direct deposit so that there's money that gets deposited into each bank account without you ever seeing that money. Step 3 is you avoid using your credit card. I'll get to that in a second. And step 4 is you consistently increase how much money you save. So with that, step 1. Step 1 is creating multiple bank accounts. I would suggest 3 different bank accounts at 2 banks. One bank account is going to be your emergency fund. This needs to be relatively difficult to access, so let's say you put that at Bank of America. Bank of America is going to hold your emergency fund, your general savings account, and every month you're going to have a certain amount of money deposited into that, but that is step number 2. We'll get to that in a second. Your other 2 bank accounts, though, are going to be your checking account and what I like to call your overdraft account. Your checking account is what you're going to spend your everyday money on. That's going to be where the rest of your paycheck gets deposited. Then you're going to have an overflow account in case you accidentally spend too much money. That money will be there to cover any too big of expenses or money that you accidentally spent. That's step number 1. So you have 3 bank accounts. Your emergency fund at one bank, 2 different bank accounts, one a checking account, one can be a checking account or a savings account, doesn't really matter, at another bank. Step 2, set up direct deposit. So most employers will allow you to have direct deposit so that every month you don't get a physical check, it just gets directly deposited into your bank account. Then a lot of direct deposit organizations will allow you to deposit your money into 2, 3, 4 different accounts. Of my paycheck, 30 to 40% of it gets direct deposited into my emergency fund. The rest of it, that 60 to 70%, gets deposited into my checking account, and that's all the money I have to spend. So here's the advantage to that. I almost never have to actually make a budget. Almost ever. Why? Because I know that I have 30 to 40% of my paycheck automatically being saved. 60 to 70% of it is what's left over, and I just get to spend that freely. And that's where actually step number 3 comes in, avoiding your credit card. I need to avoid overspending. Number 1 way to do that, is avoiding your credit card. You just avoid your credit card, you literally cannot overspend. It is impossible. Just avoid your credit card. It makes it really easy to avoid spending too much. Step number 4 is that you need to habitually increase the amount of money that you save. This might be you increase the amount of money you save every other month, every 6 months, whatever it is. But here's why. I went from making a decent amount of money while I was in training at my company, and then I transferred out of training. And guess what? My pay got cut because now I had to actually earn that. I suddenly had to live off of a significantly less amount of money, but I still wanted to save some of it. So I saved just a little bit while I transitioned to knowing, oh, I have a much smaller amount of money to spend. So over time though, I've been able to habitually just increase the amount of money. So I went from 5% to 10%. So suddenly I was saving 10% of my income. I saw barely any change in the amount of money hitting my bank account, but there was a change. I was still saving more. And then a couple months later, I increased that to 15% and then to 20%. Each time I did that, I barely noticed any change at all. But I was saving so much money that over time, that money just accumulated and accumulated and accumulated. And now I'm at 30 to 40%. I've taken the time to habitually increase the amount of money that I save. So with that, again, step 1, make 3 different bank accounts. One is your emergency fund at a different bank than your checking and your overdraft accounts. Step 2 is you need to set up direct deposit so that a certain portion of your paycheck goes to your emergency fund without you even seeing it. Then the rest of your money, you can always spend as much of that as you want or as little as that as you want, but that is your spending money. Step number 3 is avoid your credit card. You need to avoid overspending with this plan. Number 1 way to do that, avoid your credit card. And then step number 4 is habitually increase the amount of money that you get direct deposited into your emergency fund. You do that, and over time, you're gonna end up saving 30, 40, 50, maybe even 60% of your income. So with that, I hope that was helpful. I hope that shows how you can get your savings and spending under control so that you don't have to worry about making more money. You can continue living life as is. You can just live it with more financial freedom. So I hope that was helpful. And with that, hope you have a great week.